But my question is, if y'all do win it all, which I think y'all probably will, where do y'all rank this title relative to 2014 and 2002? Because I don't think there's any way y'all can make the argument it's better. I know that maybe like the path to victory was more difficult. Like, look, beating four teams in a row like Texas and Penn State or Notre Dame, and then Oregon would be impressive. There's no doubt, but I don't think that you can put it in the same category as 2014 or 2002. That's my question: where y'all would rank it if y'all do end up winning it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. Garrison, I'll let you take it first.
Yeah. So, well, man, I agree with you. I agree with you. It would be a great feat. It really would. But when you talk about like the 2002 championship, with Jim Tressel, Mark D'Antoni, who had defensive coordinator, Maurice Clarett, true freshman running back out of Ohio, like just all that happening, and then you're facing, you go 12-0, and you did it the hard way. You probably should have lost a couple games on the way. The game against Purdue with Holy Buckeye, and then you go into that game against a studded Miami team. You talk about Willis McGahee, Calvin Winslow Jr.,
Andre Johnson.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, just keep naming them.
The list goes on, dude, and it's hard. That win, that championship win, sparked what you see today. I think it sparked the most dominant era of Ohio State football. And then, 2014. You're talking, you got SEC dominance going rabid across the country every year in college football. You have you have Urban Meyer in his second year. Mind you, he went undefeated the year before, but wasn't able to play for a national championship or a bowl game at that. We couldn't go to the Motor City Bowl game if we wanted to. And then, you go on this wild ride. You went 59-0 against Wisconsin, the Big Ten championship. And then you have Nick Saban in Alabama. And everybody's picking you to lose. Everyone's expecting you to lose. And you go out there, you win the game. Mind you, man, there was a point in that game where it looked like Ohio State was dominating Alabama. There was a point in that game when it looked like that.
Whole first half, they were moving the ball better than Alabama was.
Oh, yeah. It could have gone to 3 scores easily. And then you get to a point in the game where I think in the fourth quarter, we had less than like 5 yards at some point. And then you had Ezekiel Elliott go 85 yards to the heart of the South. And then you go against Oregon's still the greatest team ever, and their Heisman winner quarterback, and you smack them around. It doesn't go above those. It just doesn't.
I agree with you. Obviously winning a national title in any year is sweet, but as far as like ranking them between 2014, 2002, the 2002, the thing is no one saw that coming because it was Jim Tressel's second year, and they had just come off they were like 8-6, or not 8-6, 8-4 in the regular season.
8-4, yeah.
Then they lost the bowl game to be 8-5. Like they lost the Outback Bowl, South Carolina. So it was not something that anyone saw coming. And then just to have them win their games the way that they did with defense. And they're off. Michael Jenkins, still an all-time great Ohio State wide receiver. He was like their only consistent weapon that they use. Chris Gamble going both ways, also special teams. He just couldn't come off the field. It was Travis Hunter before Travis Hunter was out there.
Played every game in that national championship. Every down in that national championship he played.
Yeah, every down. Mike Nugent, one of the greatest Ohio State kickers there is. And to beat that studded Miami team, we named the names. Andre Johnson, Kellen Winslow, Sean Taylor, Antrell Roll, I think, was on that team too.
Antrell Roll.
The list goes on and on for how many guys. I think Vince Wilfork, I don't remember he was on that team the year before. But
Vince was on that team. Who was the linebacker was
Jeremy Shockey. They were really, really good. So
I can't think of that linebacker.
They have Vilma.
Yeah, Jonathan Vilma.
Jonathan Vilma. That's right. And to go ahead and beat that team, it was sweet. And again, that was their first title since 1968. So that title drought ended then. That was great. The 2014 team, again, that was one no one saw coming because they're down to their third string quarterback. Braxton gets hurt in preseason, and everyone thinks, oh, season's over. We're screwed. And then you lose to Virginia Tech, second game of the year. First, I was at that game, sitting in the student section, and I'm like, well, there goes this season. JT's didn't quite have it. And then they just run through everyone else. And then you go 59-0 against Wisconsin to get into the playoff. And then to beat Bama. Once they beat Bama, I knew the Oregon game was a wrap.
We both didn't even mention Cardell.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cardell, that's what I said, third string quarterback. It was absurd. And once they beat Bama, I knew that game was a wrap. Oregon did not scare me. Bama definitely was concerning for sure, considering they were at the top of the college football mountain at that time. And for Ohio State just to be able to basically, ding dong, the witch is dead after that game was over. And then to beat Oregon, take on that national title. And that title's certainly sweet. And that's why the 2015 team was so frustrating, because that team was as talented as any team. And they just screwed it up against Michigan State because Tim Beck's an idiot, quite frankly. That's why. So
they're trying to win JT a Heisman. That's what happened.
Well, they were
didn't give the ball
screwing around with the quarterback position was what they were doing. They never should have had Cardell start. If they were going to have JT start the whole way, just start him the whole way.
And Zeke should have more than 13 carries.
Yeah, so that's why Tim Beck's an idiot. But yeah, thanks for the call in here. Appreciate you here.
Yeah, no problem. I just wanted to ask one more quick question. You know,
good.
Who's y'all starter going to be next year? Because I keep seeing Carson Beck name floating around, and obviously, like, we got kid from Fresno and then Underwood. Who's going to be y'all starter? Because I've seen St. Clair. He looks impressive, but it's pretty rare for a freshman to come play right away. And then I know y'all got Saying, who I like his tape. I like, I'm a Michigan fan, but I like football more than I am a Michigan fan, if that makes sense. So I like ball and all this shit. So I like Saint's tape coming out. And obviously he was supposed to go to Alabama. I wasn't all that high on Aaron Nolan or Jaden Davis. I wasn't high on either of those guys. So I ended up being right, fortunately. But I like Saying, but I think he's got a little bit of a ceiling in terms of I don't think he's a physical freak like Underwood or, some of these guys that are, 6'4", 6'5", and, have the long arms and all that. So I just was curious about that. But otherwise, I appreciate the call. I'll hang up afterwards. Good luck against Texas. I'll be rooting for the Horns, but good luck against Texas.
We expect nothing less.
Call again anytime, man. I like you. You're good.
All right.
Yeah,
I'll try to be objective. I'm gonna be respectful if I'm gonna call in.
Appreciate that. But to answer your question, we had talked about, or I talked about that earlier in the show with the whole Carson Beck thing. Also, before I go ahead and get into this, just Ohio State basketball update. It's 28-23 at the under 4 in the first half. So Ohio State is winning. But Carson Beck, neither one of us want him to join Ohio State. This doesn't seem like the right fit. To the caller's point, Julian Sayin is not the physical freak that Tavian St. Clair is. Sayin's only 6'1", 200 pounds. It's not like he's Tavian St. Clair's a big dude. He's 6'4".
He's a grown man. He's a grown man's body.
He's a grown man, and he has really strong arms. I mean, 6'4", 225 compared to Julian Sayin, which he stands at just 6'1" and 203. So again, the physical tools are definitely more there for St. Clair. The one thing that concerns me is his competition in the state of Ohio. His school is a very small school here in Ohio. It's Bellefontaine, and it's out west. It's, they don't play some of the powers of Ohio, of the Ohio high school football scene. They don't play like Cleveland, Glenville, like everyone's heard of, Moeller, St. X. Those are much bigger schools. And his senior year, as far as them getting into the playoffs, they didn't really go anywhere. Now, again, his teammates, quite frankly, weren't very good. He didn't have a lot of weapons to throw to. His offensive line was mediocre. So that's definitely part of it. But if you're going to point if you're going to point to one concern for him, that's my concern. He's obviously killed every 7-on-7 or every camp he's been to in the summer workouts. That's why his ranking got to number 2 overall in the country. But if I had to choose right now between him and Saiyan, I'm just going to give a very, very slight edge to Julian Saiyan, only because he's spent a year in the offense so far. What do you think, Garrison?
No, everything he said about Beck, I'm right with. Honestly, there's nothing he said that I disagree with. It's just that what we do know about Saiyan, and to me, he's like a Caucasian Bryce Young. He's a very tiny guy. I mean, like 203 pounds, of course, is not small per se, but it's not like Russell Wilson is around 205, but he's a little bit thicker. You can see it, right? Kyler Murray around 205, but he's a little bit thicker. That's not Julian Saiyan. Maybe he'll look like that next year. We'll see.
Get him with Marati for a little bit more time. He'll fall out to 50.
Either that or break his leg, like one or two. But sorry, Marati. I'm sorry. But it's the arm talent for Julian Saiyan. That's what it is. If you go on X and type in his name, go to the video section, you'll see some practice footage of him, man. And yeah, he can throw that at weird angles. He can do it. It's kind of like if you remember Matthew Stafford when he first got to the Lions coming out of Georgia, a lot of people got on him because he's not just throwing like normal motion. He's side arming. He's doing a lot of crazy stuff out there with his arm. Julian Saiyan has that type of potential and talent. As of today, I would say Julian Saiyan, and I'd be very comfortable with that. But yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate the call here, Mr. Harris. So it's the other reason why I say Saiyan is a true freshman hasn't started for Ohio State since Braxton Miller in 2011, and that was a Luke Fickell year, and he just kind of had to. That's all they had. I mean, they had to throw him out there once Joe Bowserman was so bad. It is what it is. So it'd be incredibly rare for someone like St. Clair to come in and just start from day one.
Mm-hmm.